Okay, I think we'll kick things off. So welcome everyone. Thank you very much for dialing into the Ride Across Britain Plus Package Q&A. My name is Will. I'm the Sales Director at Threshold, organisers of this wonderful thing known as Ride Across Britain. We've also got Karen, who's our Senior Event Director of the ride, who you'll be getting to know very well over the 9 days in September. And we also have Sophie, who's working very hard in the background as part of our participant comms team, making sure this all runs super smoothly. So no pressure, Soph. So to give you a bit of an overview of what this session is going to be like, we're going to keep it pretty short and sharp, so nice and concise. We don't want to overload you with tons of information at this stage, but we do just want to land some of the more crucial points and some of the main factors that kind of separate you from the classic participants and all the good things you need to know. So we are going to be covering off 4 main topics. That includes hotels, food, shuttles, and luggage. So Karen's going to run through those, but then quite crucially, we're going to be keeping a bit of time aside to answer any questions that you've got at the end and share those together as a group. So you'll see the chat function at the bottom of your screen. If you do have any questions, perhaps write it down and then post that towards the end of this webinar. But if you direct that to me, so my name is Will Irwin, so direct that straight to me instead of Threshold, I can then relay that to Karen and we can share those answers. So I think without further ado, we're going to pass over to the expert Karen, who's going to talk a little bit more about RAB Plus.
Thanks, Will, and good evening, everybody. As Will said, I'm just going to run through some of the package details for you and the differences between this and the classic package. First of all, you will have a dedicated crew team solely there to manage your package. So solely there for you guys. There's 6 members in the team, and they'll be doing everything from sorting out your shuttles, looking after you, looking after your luggage, directing you to hotels, etc. So they'll be there for you whenever you get to a base camp and at your hotels in the morning. There's approximately 100 of you on the package, and so you're going to be in a mixture of single or shared rooms. As you can imagine, it's pretty difficult to find hotels that are big enough right near our base camps to house the whole group. So there's one actually in Edinburgh that you're all in the same hotel there, but most nights you're split over a number of different hotels, sometimes 2, sometimes more than that, because it's more important for us to minimize your journey time. So we get hotels as close as possible to the base camp, but it does mean that you're not all together every night. But don't worry, if you have signed up as a group or as a team of people, then you'll definitely all be in the same hotel that evening. So you might not be with the whole group, but you'll be with your team, as long as you have put that you're down as a team on your registration. It's not too late to do that if you haven't done it already. The main sort of journey time is roughly 10 to 20 minutes. It does vary. And as we get sort of further into Scotland, it is really tricky to find anything around those base camps. So when we're in the Cairngorms, you're split over about 8 different hotels because the things close to the base camp are only about 2-bedroom B&B. So as you can imagine, we have to move you about a bit there, and it makes the journey time a little bit longer. So that final hotel night in Stratton is the longest journey time, with up to about 30 minutes to get you to where you need to go. Each night on arrival at the hotel, you'll be allocated a room, and that'll be managed by the Plus package team before you get there. So as soon as you arrive, there'll be a rooming list and you'll be directed to that room. On the final night at Kyle of Sutherland, you will all be camping again. Hopefully that's not a surprise. It's one night. We provide you with a tent, but you do need to bring a sleeping bag. We'll also provide you with a mattress as well, as all the other participants on RAB have to bring their own mattress. But because it's one night for you guys, we'll give you a mattress and the tent. But don't forget your sleeping bag just for that final night before the last push to John O'Groats. In terms of food, everything included in the package is served from the base camp. So dinner will be at the base camp when you arrive in the evenings, and breakfast is also there in the mornings. If you want to have anything else or choose to not eat at the base camp and have something in your hotel, that's totally at your own choice, but is at your own additional cost. So anything provided by us is actually at the base camp. Other food during the day obviously is exactly the same. Once you're on the route, you're with the rest of the riders, and it's pit stop food and all the nutrition you need, sports nutrition and everything actually on the ride. In terms of the shuttles, these are a mixture of coaches or 9-seater minibuses. It does vary. And the shuttle times sort of depend on how far your hotel is from the base camp. So the closer it is, the more shuttles we can put on. And as a general rule of thumb, they start around about 4 o'clock in the afternoon and then run through till dinner. Some people choose to stay at the base camp and not go to the hotel till after they've eaten and after the briefing. And other people choose to shuttle back there, have a shower there, and then come back. It sort of depends on what sort of time you're finishing really and how much time you've got. If you're an earlier finisher and you've got more time to go backwards and forwards, that's absolutely fine. If you're coming in more 7 o'clock, then you might just decide to have a shower at the base camp, stay there, eat dinner, and then just go back to the hotel when the last shuttle goes. There's always a shuttle that leaves after the rider briefing in the evenings. So normally about 8:30, 8:45, whenever that briefing finishes, that shuttle will go to get you all back so you can maximize the time in those comfy beds. In terms of what shuttle to get on, the RAB Plus team will sort that out for you each day, and each day will have a slightly different timetable. So you don't have to remember all that. They'll have forms for you to fill in when you get to the actual base camp. And you have a dedicated area at the base camp, normally on the end of one of the marquees, where you can leave luggage, get changed, chat to your RAB Plus team and book your shuttles. So you don't have to sort of race, you don't book your shuttle in the morning and then race to have to get it there that day. You just decide when you get to the base camp what you want to do. It's all very relaxed. So those guys will help you sort that out, and you can then decide whether you're toing and froing or if you're going to wait till the last one. If you're waiting at the base camp, we've got other things to do. We've got afternoon tea going on. You can obviously have a shower. You can just have a drink from the bar or generally chill out in the sunshine, which we're hoping we're going to have 9 days of. So you could just relax and chill out there, or you can obviously go back to your hotel. Again, entirely up to you. In the mornings, though, there's only one pickup time from the hotel, and that's always timed to get you back to the base camp in time to eat breakfast and be ready for the start of the ride, whatever the start time is that morning. So the earlier the start time, the earlier the pickup is from the hotel, just to give you time to come back, eat, and then get off in the first wave if that's what you want to do. Again, you don't have to go off in that first wave. You'll have a bit more time for breakfast, but it's one shuttle time on the way back to the base camp. In terms of your luggage, your main luggage doesn't actually come to the base camp with you. It's going to go in the RAB Plus luggage lorries, and it will go straight to the next hotel, whichever hotel that is. And when you arrive on site, we'll give you a luggage label with all your hotels on it. So it will vary each night, obviously, compared to the rest of the group. But you don't have to remember that either. Your bag will have that luggage label on it. So you load your luggage into those trucks, and that will meet you when you actually get back to that hotel the next day, regardless of whatever time that is. You also get a day bag though, so you don't have to put everything in that bag. You can take your day bag with you on the coaches, and you can take that to the base camp. So that's there as well. The guys will move that to the next base camp. So if you want to keep warm clothes in it first thing in the morning, put those on, then you can chuck your warm clothes in the bag. That will meet you when you get to the following base camp that day. So if you want to shower, put on warm clothes and generally chill out for a bit rather than going straight back to the hotel, you've got stuff there to do that. And we sort of advise that you do that, because you never really know which shuttle you're going to get. You might be half an hour, you might be 2 hours, and you sort of it's good to have something warm to put on just in case. So there's a changing area for you, and your bags will be there. The luggage limit for that bag is about 5 kilos, so please don't try and bring your whole main bag. You don't need it all. Leave that to go straight to the hotel, and it saves you lugging it quite as many times as well around the base camp, if that will meet you there when you finally get there that night. In terms of other bits and pieces, things like laundry, it works exactly the same way as it does for the classic riders. You just drop it off at that base camp that night, which is day 2, day 4, and day 6, and you can pick it up the following morning. But you don't then have to obviously carry that with you. The guys will again sort that out and take it on to the hotel with you that night with your main lap bags if you don't want to, if you don't need it that day. So it's the same system in principle, but again, the team will manage that for you and move it on to other sites. Those are sort of the key differences, really. It's very relaxed. You know, you can sort of come and go on the shuttles, decide where you want to spend your time. People vary. People sort of, can be a little bit weather dependent, as you can imagine. You know, if it's a miserable day, you might choose to go to the hotel a bit quicker than you would if you're to relax, sit out in the sunshine and have a beer and sit around a campfire. But it's entirely up to you, and the guys will just sort out what you need to do. That's the nuts and bolts of it. I don't know whether we've got any questions coming in, Will.
Yeah, we do. Thanks, Karen. So just a reminder, guys, if you've got any questions, just click on the chat function at the bottom, direct them to me, Will Irwin, and I can relay these back to Karen. So we've got a couple already. I think, Karen, you might have answered this one, but worth reiterating some of these, I think, just in case. So first one is, do we have to eat before going to the hotel?
No, definitely not. If you've got time to go and come back, that's absolutely fine. It just really depends each day on how far away the shuttles are, the timings that you're getting in, and then what time that leaves you to eat. Dinner is normally served on site from 5:30 to 8:30. So you've got quite a big window. If you're in early, you might want to eat and then just go to the hotel and stay there. If you want to be at the rider briefing, you might decide to go to the hotel, come back, eat, listen to the briefing, and then go back to the hotel. So it really is up to you and personal choice, you know, and you don't have to do the same thing each day. You can literally make the decision on the day based on how you feel.
Perfect. And another question as well from the same rider, Anonymous. Are massages included?
No, we are not having massages this year. We are sticking with our formula of yoga and stretching. So there'll be stretching classes each evening for everybody, which went down really well last year. And we can run multiple ones of them. They start from about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And you guys are obviously very welcome to join those.
Perfect. And another question here from David. So for the sleeping bag for the last night, will that need to travel with our primary luggage for the first 8 days, or will it be transported separately, giving us a little extra space?
Ideally, it needs to go with your primary luggage, mainly because your allocation of luggage is those vehicles. And if we start to put 100 sleeping bags loose somewhere else, that's a bit of a recipe for disaster. So we really need you to keep that with your primary luggage, and it will just be transported for you each day.
Perfect. Thanks, Karen. Just while we wait for a few more questions to come in, if they do, just a reminder to send them directly to me, Will. I had one for you, Karen. So what would be your best piece of advice for anyone doing RAB Plus for the first time? And that could be, you know, applicable to anyone just doing RAB for the first time.
I think a couple of bits of advice, really. There is a little bit of toing and froing, obviously, to and from the hotel. So it's really to decide what you want to do each day, and make sure you, in your day pack, you put enough warm clothes if you suddenly decide that you want to stay at the base camp and not go back to the hotel that night until later on. So it's sort of being prepared for how you might feel differently, what you think you're going to do in the morning to what you suddenly want to do come 5, 6 o'clock at night, especially if it's a nice evening and you just want to have a beer and chill out for a bit. So make the use of that sort of day sack, the changing area and all that. It also helps as well because obviously the shuttles are not, it's not that you turn up and can get on a shuttle straight away. The shuttles are timed. So depending on what time you're getting in and the shuttle timetable, there might be a bit of hanging about time anyway. So I think it's just be prepared for that.
Perfect. That is a sound bit of advice, Kaza. Got a couple more. So one from Nigel. So Nigel asks, how big should the day bag be?
Size is not massively important. It's just the weight of it, really. It's the weight that we struggle with. But I would say a normal size little rucksack that you'd, you know, shove a fleece in and a towel and your wash kit maybe, and some joggers that you might want to put on if you are going away to the base camp. So generally people have got a 90 litre big kit bag. I would say like a 20 litre day sack should be plenty. Actually, you don't need a towel. What am I saying? You don't need a towel in there at all because you get given towels. Just need your joggers and a warm fleece and your wash kit.
Perfect. And we've got the perfect picture in the background as well for that question. I thought
Exactly.
Sophie had just put that up there.
Don't bring too much.
Got another one from Gavin here. So just asking, what time is breakfast and what's the earliest ride set off time?
Breakfast is normally, well, let's go backwards. Breakfast is timed depending on the start time in the morning. The start times go between 6:30 and 7 to start, and then they run for an hour. So 6:30 to 7:30 or 7 till 8. So there's a window normally of an hour of when you have to leave. And it depends on you. We try and encourage those people that are going to take a little bit more time through the day to get off early and not leave it till the end of the start window. So give yourself maximum time to get through the day before you get to pit stops and cut off tires and start worrying all about that. And equally, if you're a faster rider, there's no need to rush off just as when it opens either, because you'll be there very quickly. Breakfast is then normally starts sort of an hour before the opening time. So you've got an hour to eat and then head off, or longer. You're going to go later.
Perfect. We've got a couple of questions here from Steve, so I'll just split them up. When do we find out which hotel we're in the first night?
We normally let you know a couple of weeks out. The reason it's not done before then is that we end up with quite a lot of changes and people swapping packages. So we're not producing our rooming list till much nearer the time. And so we can let you know your first hotel that night. Your first hotel that night about 2 weeks out.
Perfect. And the second part to this question is, what time and where do we drop our bike off before day one?
The base camp opens at 2 o'clock at Land's End. So you can come anytime after that. We cannot let you on site before then. It's just the site takes that day and that morning to get ready. And we'll open it at 2 and then everybody welcome. And you'll find we have coach loads coming in at different times. And there's a real buzz around the base camp from about 2. I think last people arrive normally about 8ish. So you've got the afternoon to get there.
Yeah, unless they want to help set up, we can always give them a high vis. Tony's got a good question. Can we cycle to the hotel?
There's nothing stopping you, Tony, cycling to the hotel if you want to. The bikes are generally looked after at the base camp. The only trouble is you would have to cycle back in the morning because the coaches that pick you up and the shuttles will not have capacity for bikes. So if you want to cycle, you've got to cycle both ways.
Yeah, that's all clear. Peter's just after a little bit of clarification. So asking if we want to shower at the base camp instead of back at the hotel, will there be towels provided at base camp?
Yes, sorry, that was my bad saying you've got to bring a towel. Everybody, whatever package you're on, gets a clean towel each day at the base camp.
Perfect. Tony also asks, is there a separate bike storage area for plus riders?
No, you're all in one set of bike racking. Yeah. So the bike racking is split into colours. So you'll be in a different colour zone, but you'll be within the perimeter of the bike racking.
Great. So coming thick and fast now, Kaza. So quick fire. All right, hands on the buzzers. Is the breakfast always at base camp? From Andrew.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Always at base camp.
That's a quick fire one. Another anonymous. Are the bikes kept undercover overnight?
No, the bike storage is not undercover. So if you want to bring a saddle cover, feel free to do that to keep your saddle dry, but they're not undercover. Yeah. They're secure. We have security who man the bike racking 24/7, but they're not undercover.
Yeah, highly recommend those seat covers so you don't have a wet bum. Highly recommend. Are we staying overnight in a hotel on the first night?
Yes, you are. It's only the last night up in Carl of Sutherland, and that is purely because to get you into a hotel you'd have to travel for about an hour and a half, which seems a little bit pointless. We sometimes set off earlier on the final day from John O'Groats. So although the start time through the week, the earliest is probably going to be 6:30. On that last day, it can be 6 o'clock on some years. So you'd literally be not very long in your bed on that night. So camping is the better option.
Yeah. And going back to that first night, I think we've answered Peter's question as well. The hotel is included for the Friday night after registration before day one.
Yes, definitely.
Perfect. Andrew here's got a question for the finish. So what's the arrangement for the evening? I think you might have answered that the evening before. Is there a bus or luggage transfer from the nearest rail station? I'm presuming from John O'Groats. That question's about. Yes, there's, if you look on the website, you can book transport for your bike and yourself back from John O'Groats to various your bike to various hubs, and for yourself back to Inverness. Okay, perfect. We've got one here from Ben. So the advice for classic participants was to have a waterproof kit bag. Does this apply to Plus package? So he's referring to the main bag, not the day bag.
It's less critical, obviously, because you're in and out of hotels, but there's 100 bags that we're dealing with. So there is a chance that your bag is at some stage not always going to be undercover. You know, we've got to unload, reload, get it out of hotels and things. So waterproof is always better. It's not as critical as the classic riders, but if you can bring a waterproof bag, I would say it was still beneficial.
Okay, and another one is more of a general one here. Is there a max ride time each day, and how long is that?
Yes, there's a route operating window, we call it, each day. On the whole, it's approximately 12 hours. So sometimes it's a little, if we're starting early at 6:30, we can, sometimes 12 and a half, we'll finish at 7 o'clock. On the whole, the cutoff time is 7 o'clock because of the hours of darkness. But these timings are going to be relayed to you nearer the time and also each night. So you'll know what the timings are for the following day. And if you're not at the briefing, we email out the key briefing points anyway. So you'll be getting an email with those timings on. As well as the cut-off time at the finish, we do have pit stop cut-off times as well. So you need to be maintaining a certain speed through the day and getting to the finish by 7 o'clock as a general rule of thumb. It does vary a bit. You know, if it's suddenly terrible weather, we might have to shorten that route operating window and make it early. But on the whole, we try and stick to that 7 o'clock.
Yeah. Different one here. Do we need a bike lock?
No, you definitely don't need a bike lock. The bike racking is really secure. It's sort of one of the main jobs for our security team. And they will make sure that you're leaving the bike racking with your bike. So your bike and you will have the same number. And they are quite religious about that, you know, especially till they get to know you, because it's obviously very easy as you get tired. There's more than one bike in there looking the same. So you don't need a lock. It's just an extra thing to carry. It's really secure, but you will be checked in and out.
We've got another general question, which I think you answered earlier on, Karen. So it might be they didn't see this bit, but how often are the shuttles?
It really varies. They start at about 4 o'clock each day. Sometimes a little bit early, but on the whole, 4 o'clock. And then it really varies depending on how close the hotel is. The closer the hotels are to the base camp, the more shuttles we put on. There's a big coach and there's 2 little sort of 9-seater minibus things. So there's a sort of selection of transports, but I can't sort of say definitively each day because it just differs day to day.
And just building on that one, what's the longest time between a hotel and a base camp?
It is around about 30 to 35 minutes, but that is the last day that you're in hotels. Before then, I would say it's 20 minutes and quite a lot. Some of them are shorter than that. The reason it's so long up in the Cairngorms is there is just nothing of any size literally in that mountain setting that we're in, and you've got to get back to a few of the little towns where there's a few, not many sizable hotels, and that's when you're spread over about 8 different locations, and that's why the journey time there is a little bit longer, but that is the furthest one.
Clearly a gap in the market for that evening,
really?
Isn't there? If you want to start a new hotel group, then you will get business on that night during Ride Across Britain. So we've got a couple of others. one on the sleeping arrangement. So for the last night, we need a sleeping bag, but I understand you'll provide a tent and a sleeping mat. Is that correct?
Yep, that's absolutely correct.
Lovely. And then a couple from Peter and Gavin on the evening briefings, pretty similar. So asking, you know, are they compulsory or can they miss the odd one? I think you've answered that recently, saying, you know, we send a summary of the briefing out in email. So we do encourage everyone to attend those. They're, you know, really key and important, but also just that camaraderie piece. You really do feel like part of the group all together in those evening briefings. But you can miss the odd one, absolutely. Does the on-site bar sell cans or bottles so that we can take it for a nightcap back to any remote hotels? Great question. Question of the night.
Question of the night. I want to say yes. I think they do. I mean, they vary again. It's not the same bar that comes with us. It's a local bar to each location. I'm sure I've seen people with cans. I don't want to say definitively yes, but I'm sure that's, on the whole. I mean, it's probably more cans and plastic cups than bottles because of the glass element on the base camp. But some of your hotels might even have bars. You never know.
Question from Nigel: will we stay at Bath Uni this year?
No, we're not at Bath Uni. We're back in the field. For those of you that might have been with us last year, we're in the field in Bannerdown, so just past Bath Uni. So we're sticking to that route.
Andrew asks, will we need cash for the base camp?
The only thing you really need cash for is the bars. I think the majority, since COVID times, take card payment. It won't do any harm just to have a little bit of cash. Again, as we travel north, they tend to want to have a bit more cash in those bars up there, but carry a little bit. But I don't think you'll need a huge amount of cash. On the whole, people will take card payment, and the coffee concessions and things take card payment.
Okay, we've got one from another Andrew, I think this time. I've been invited to this call, not registered for the Plus package to my knowledge. Why would this be? I'm not sure is the honest answer, Andrew, but if you message me again directly with your surname, I can find out for you. I can confirm whether, you know, what package you're on, and then we can investigate there. So just drop me a line with your surname and I can look into it for you. Peter asked, do the bars have alcohol-free beer too?
We can request that for sure.
Yeah,
it's a good shout. I'll make sure we put in a request.
Perfect. Okay, so I think we're there with the questions, unless anyone else has any final ones they want to quickly pop in. If not, you can always email us info@rideacrossbritain.com and check your participant area as well. If you're wondering how to get there, you should hopefully have one of many emails from us in your inbox. Please do check the junk if you haven't or you can't see it, but we usually include a link there to the online participant information hub. If not, you can get there via the FAQ section of the website, but it's well worth having a look around because we've got lots of good info there. Whilst I was saying that, we do have a couple of final ones, so we'll put these to you, Kaza. The yoga, okay, so I think this is where does the yoga, perhaps where and when does the yoga and stretching classes take place? Okay,
so they're at the base camp as well. They're in a marquee area, and we have a yoga instructor who comes with us for the whole duration of the event. And they normally start about 4 o'clock when there's a few people in the base camp. And then he just runs them sort of every half an hour to demand, really. Finishes about, I think he sort of can run them after dinner as well. So it finishes about 9:30. Obviously, if you guys are wanting to get back to your hotel, the earlier when you go in, the better. But he can take sort of 30 odd people at a time in the space. And if it's a nice day, you can always spread out a bit outside too. So that's definitely the base camp.
Perfect. And Emily's got a question on the food at the base camp, just after a bit more detail as to whether there are vegetarian and gluten-free options.
Definitely. There's always vegetarian options, vegan options, special diet options. So as long as you put that on your registration form, so we know the numbers that we're catering for. And then all I would say is, if it's not immediately obvious, then just ask the catering team. Sometimes they hold some of the more specialized diets not on view so that we're saving them for the people that need them. So if you're one of those people that have got a few more dietary needs, then and you can't see something that you can eat, then just feel free to ask the catering staff and they will sort you out.
Perfect. And then we've got a question here. Is there a phone number to call if we struggle with logistics as we are en route?
I'm not sure I understand the question.
I think referring
Like
to
event
the
control?
event control. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yes. So on your bike and on your own wristband, there's 2 numbers which phone our event control room. One's for medical emergencies and the other one is for more general support. So if you need mechanics or the broom wagon, you can't carry on, anything like that, you phone that event control number. The event control is off-site and it's run by a team of people who are specialised in doing all that. And then they deploy our route assets or whoever you need to your location.
Perfect. Well, Kaz, I think you've done a sterling job there, answering all those quick fire questions.
It was a slight whistle stop tour of the Plus package. So feel free to ask more if anyone's got any more queries that we haven't covered.
Exactly. And yeah, just as said, guys, email us, give us a call. Always happy to talk you through it. And as said, just check any email from us at the bottom. There's a link to that information platform, which has got tons of good info on there, from kit lists, training plans to nutrition guides, anything you need. But thanks so much for dialing in. I hope you're all feeling slightly more reassured. And we will see you at that start line in September. Thanks very much,
everyone.
guys.
See you in September.